What up, as women's to downtown Melo? You're listening to the Entertainment Report on iHeartRadio, live from Orlando for Thursday, July 18th, 2024, delivering some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, facebook.com/The Entertainment Report with Raymelo, that's RAYMELO, on Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to the show anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Bob Newhart has died at the age of 94. The deadpan accountant turned comedian who became one of the most popular TV stars of his time after striking gold with the classic comedy album died Thursday in Los Angeles after a series of short illnesses, Jerry Dingy, Newhart's publicist, said in a statement. Newhart, best remembered now as the star of two hit television shows of the 1970s and 1980s that bore his name, launched his career as a stand-up comedian in the late 1950s. He gained nationwide fame when his routine was captured on vinyl in 1960 as The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart, which went on to win a Grammy for Album of the Year. While other comedians at the time, including Lenny Bruce, Mort Saul, Alan King, and Mike Nichols and Elaine May, frequently got laughs with their aggressive attacks on modern mores, Newhart was an anomaly. His outlook was modern, but he rarely raised his voice above a hesitant, almost stammering delivery. His only prop was a telephone used to pretend to hold a conversation with someone on the end of the other line. In one memorable skit, he portrayed a Madison Avenue image maker trying to instruct Abraham Lincoln on how to improve the Gettysburg Address. He advised, say, 87 years ago instead of 77. Another favorite was merchandising the Wright brothers, in which he tried to persuade the aviation pioneers to start an airline, although he acknowledged the distance of their maiden flight could limit them. He says, we'll see, that's going to hurt our time to the coast if we only got to land every 105 feet. Newhart was initially wary of signing on to a weekly TV show, fearing it would overexpose his material. Nevertheless, he accepted an attractive offer from NBC, and the Bob Newhart Show premiered on October 11, 1961. Despite winning an Emmy and Peabody Award, the half-an-hour variety show was canceled after one season, a source for jokes by Newhart for decades afterwards. He waited another 10 years before undertaking another Bob Newhart Show in 1972. The one was a situation comedy with Newhart playing a Chicago psychologist living in a penthouse with his schoolteacher wife, played by Suzanne Flechette. Their neighbors and his patients, notably Bill Daly as an airline navigator, were a wacky, neurotic bunch who provided an ideal counterpoint to Newhart's deadpan commentary. The series, one of the most acclaimed of the 1970s, ran through 1978. 4 years later, the comedian launched another show simply titled Newhart. This time he was a successful New York writer who decides to reopen a long-closed Vermont inn. Again, Newhart was the calm, reasonable man surrounded by a group of eccentric locals. Again, the show was a huge hit, lasting 8 seasons on CBS. It bowed out in a memorable style in 1990 with Newhart in his old Chicago psychologist character waking up in bed with Flechette, cringing as he tells her about the strange dream he had. I was an innkeeper in this crazy little town in Vermont. The handyman kept missing the point of things, and there were 3 woodsmen, but only one of them talked. The Sun parodied a Dallas episode where a key character was killed off, then to reveal when the dream with the death was to be revealed to have been a dream. 2 later series were comparable duds, Bob in 1992 to 1993, and George and Leo in 1997 to 1998. Though nominated several times, his only Emmy win came for a guest role on The Big Bang Theory. He sighed, I guess they think I'm not acting. That is just Bob being Bob. Over the years, Newhart also appeared in several movies, usually in comedic roles, among them Catch-22, In and Out, Legally Blonde 2, and Elf, as the diminutive dad of adopted full-size son Will Ferrell. Most recent works include Horrible Bosses and the TV series The Librarians, and the Big Bang Theory spin-off Young Sheldon. Newhart married Virginia Quinn, known to friends as Ginny, in 1964 and remained with her until her death in 2023. They had 4 children, Robert, Timothy, Jennifer, and Courtney. Newhart was a frequent guest on Johnny Carson's Tonight Show and liked to tease the thrice-divorced Tonight host that at least some comedians enjoy long-term marriages. He was especially close with fellow comedian and family man Don Rickles, whose raucous insult humor clashed memorably with Newhart's droll understatement. Rickles told Variety in 2012, "We're apples and oranges. I'm a Jew, he's a Catholic. He's low-key, I'm a yellow." A decade later, Judd Apatow would pay tribute to their friendship in the short documentary Bob and Don, A Love Story. A master of the gently sarcastic remark, Newhart got into comedy after he became bored with his $5 an hour accounting job in Chicago. To pass the time, he and a friend, Ed Gallagher, began making funny phone calls to each other. Eventually, they decided to record them as comedy routines and sell them to radio stations. Their efforts failed, but the records came to the attention of Warner Brothers, which signed Newhart to a record contract and booked him into a Houston club in February 1960. He recalled in 2003, a terrified 30-year-old man walked out on stage and played his first nightclub. 6 of his routines were recorded during the 2-week date, and the album, The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart, was released on April Fool's Day 1960. It sold 750,000 copies. It was followed by The Button-Down Mind Strikes Back. At one point, the albums ranked number 1 and 2 on the sales charts. The New York Times in 1960 said that Newhart was the first comedian in history to come to prominence through a recording. In addition to winning Grammy's Album of the Year for his debut, Newhart won a Best New Artist in 1960. In the sequel, The Button-Down Mind Strikes Back won a Best Comedy Spoken Word Album. Newhart was booked on several appearances on the Ed Sullivan Show at nightclubs, concert halls, and college campuses across the country. He hated the clubs, however, because of the heckling drunks they attracted. He said in 1960, "Every time I have to step out of a scene and put one of those birds in his place, it kills the routine." In 2004, he received another Emmy nomination, this time as a guest actor in the drama series for a role on ER. Another honor came his way in 2007 when the Library of Congress announced it had added The Button-Down Mind of Bob Newhart to its registry of historically significant sound recordings. Newhart made his bestseller list in 2006 with his memoir, I Shouldn't Even Be Doing This. He was nominated for another Grammy for Best Spoken Word Album, a category that included audiobooks, for his reading of the book. Newhart wrote, "I've always likened what I do to the man who is convinced that he is the last sane man on earth, the Paul Revere of psychotics running through the town, and yelling, 'This is crazy,' but no one's paying attention to him." Born George Robert Newhart in Chicago to a German-Irish family, he was called Bob to avoid confusion with his father, who was also named George. At St. Ignatius High School and Loyola University in Chicago, he amused fellow students with imitations of Jimmy Cagney, Humphrey Bogart, and Jimmy Durante and other stars. After receiving a degree in commerce, Newhart served 2 years in the Army, returned to Chicago after his military service. He entered law school at Loyola but flunked out. He eventually landed a job as an accountant for the state's unemployment department. Bored with the work, he spent his free times acting at a stock company in suburban Oak Park, an experience that led to the phone bits. The comedian said at the time, "I wasn't part of some comical cabal. Mike Nichols and Elaine May, Shelley Berman, Lenny Bruce, Jonathan Winters, Mortzall, we didn't all get together and say, let's change comedy and slow it down. It was just our way of finding humor. The college kids would hear mother-in-law jokes and say, what the hell is a mother-in-law? What we did reflected our lives and related to theirs." Newhart continued to appear on television occasionally after his 4th sitcom ended and vowed in 2003 that he would work as long as he could. He said at the time, "It's been so much, 43 years of my life, to quit would be like something was missing." Bob Newhart is being remembered by co-workers, peers, and fans of one of television's all-time greats, a genius of understatement with an unfailing, warm-hearted spirit. Writer and director Paul Feig said, "I had the honor of doing a guest role on Newhart and got to spend the week listening to the great Bob Newhart making us all laugh. A brilliant stand-up and comedic actor, he will truly be one of a kind. His legacy will live on." Will Wheaton, who worked with Newhart on The Big Bang Theory, said on Facebook, "When I had the extraordinary privilege of working in the same episodes with Bob Newhart, I stayed on the stage the whole time just to watch him work. I mean, how could I not? He made it all look so easy, and holy shit, he was so funny, even more than you think. One day he and I ended up sitting next to each other during a break in production. In the industry, we call it taking a 5 or a quick 10 or something like that. Just a little break for everyone to catch their breaths. A couple of the writers were there, I think, and maybe one or two other actors. And we all sat there while Bob Newhart told stories about his life and career. It was amazing. This legend just talking to us, was no big deal sharing these incredible experiences with us. I knew that then I would never forget it, that I would cherish that experience for the rest of my life. I just read the news that Bob Newhart passed away at 94, and this memory has come back to me like it was yesterday. He didn't need to be kind. He didn't need to tell us these stories. He didn't owe us anything of his time, and yet he loved it. But he chose to do all those things. I have a gift that Bob Newhart gave me. I haven't opened it in a while, but I took it out today, and I was grateful. Rest well, Bob. Paul Rudnick wrote, R.I.P. to the great Bob Newhart. I worked with him in and Out, and he was revealed by everyone on the set as comedy royalty. He was also a warm and delightful person with no star ego. Watching him in action was a privilege. His persona and skill were matchless. Mark Hamill wrote, from his groundbreaking stand-up to his 2 classic sitcoms, he gave us a lifetime of laughter, truly one of a kind. Thank you, Bob Newhart. Jimmy Walker said his comedy albums were great. His TV show Newhart was cerebral genius. I remember seeing him in 2019 at the Paley Honors, a special tribute to television comedy legends, where Bob was supposed to get up and say a few words. He did like half an hour and killed at the age of 89. I was lucky to spend some time with him at various TV-related functions, and he was always a class act. George Slaughter, the producer, said Bob Newhart was a good friend, and he was an original. I did one of his first guest shots before anyone had figured out that he was an intellectual. His overview on society and politics was fresh and perspective, and almost every sentence was quotable. We never had anyone like Bob Newhart before or since. Alan Swibel, the writer, said, I started off as your fan, then I became your writer, then I became your friend. But all the time I remain your fan. R.I.P. Al Franken wrote, Bob Newhart was a giant, a genius, and a great guy. I've always remembered when he hosted SNL and did a stellar show. He was, as you might expect, a joy to work with. May his memory be a blessing. Director and writer Judd Apatow wrote, Bob Newhart was the kindest, most hilarious man. He asked me to make a documentary about his friendship with Don Rickles. I was so lucky to get to spend the time with my hero. His brilliant comedy and gentle spirit made everyone he encountered so happy. The National Comedy Center says Bob Newhart's groundbreaking work in stand-up and television and his beloved deadpan delivery have left an indelible mark on the art form of comedy and will be treasured by comedy fans for generations to come. Jamie Lee Curtis wrote, there will be laughing wherever people go when they leave us. God, he was funny. Bob Newhart, you will be missed. Tom Pratty wrote, hard to explain how important Bob Newhart was, every comedian and comedy writer who came after him. Working with him, even so briefly, was one of the greatest joys and honor of my life. Winona Ryder seeks help in a new trailer for the Beetlejuice sequel. Ryder returns as Lydia Dietz in Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, which picked up when the family returns to Winter River to mourn a loss, and daughter Astrid, played by Jenna Ortega, accidentally unlocks the afterlife portal. Dietz says in the Warner Bros. Pictures teaser, I can't believe I'm doing this. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Michael Keaton reprises his role as the mischievous demon Beetlejuice. In the 1988 film, he pursues marriage with Dietz. Dietz says when he appears, I need you to help me save my daughter. But how do I know that you're going to keep your word? Catherine O'Hara returns as Delia Dietz. Justin Theroux, Monica Bellucci, Arthur Conti, and Willem Dafoe also star. Tim Burton returns to direct. Ortega said when she shared the trailer on her Instagram, getting closer now. Beetlejuice premieres in theaters September 6. Shout Studios announced Thursday that director Mike Flanagan's Hush will be available for the first time on digital video on demand. The film will be available for rent or purchase August 27th to retailers like Prime Video, Apple TV Plus, and Fandango at Home. Hush premiered at the 2016 South by Southwest Film Festival. Netflix picked up the film for release on its streaming service in April that year. Kate Siegel plays a deaf woman living in a home in the woods. One night, an attacker, played by John Gallagher Jr., arrives and pursues her in her remote home. The film began a prolific partnership between Netflix and Flanagan, including the films Gerald's Game and the series The Haunting of Hill House, The Haunting of Bly Manor, Midnight Mass, and The Fall of the House of Usher. Segel appears in all of those and co-wrote Hush with Flanagan. They are also married. Hush left Netflix in 2023 and has been unavailable until this upcoming release. Frasier Crane returns to Seattle in Season 2 episode of the Frasier reboot, which premieres in September. Paramount Plus announced on Wednesday. That episode also reintroduces Dan Butler, played by Bob Briscoe, Edward Hibbert, played by Gil Chesterton, and Harriet Sansom Harris, played by B.B. Glazer. Perry Giebelin plays Ross Doyle, will guest star throughout the reboot's second season. The Paramount Plus press release says, the series follows Frasier Crane, played by Kelsey Grammer, in the next chapter of his life after he returns to Boston to face new challenges, forge new relationships, and with hope finally fulfill an old dream or two. The revival first season features Frasier teaching at Boston University. Season 1 was nominated for 3 Primetime Emmy nominations, including Outstanding Production Design for a half-hour narrative program, Outstanding Cinematography for a half-hour multi-camera series, and Outstanding Picture Editing for a multi-camera comedy series. Season 2 premieres September 19th with 2 episodes, and additional episodes will drop every Thursday on the streaming service. Grammer said in an interview, "In my heart, I thought I knew we can do this, and I know we can do it really well. And I didn't want to do what some of the other shows had done, sort of come back and be the same show. I thought this was all played exactly how it was meant to be." Paramount Plus with Showtime is giving a glimpse of Dexter's prequel series, Dexter Original Sin. The streaming service shared first look photos for the show Thursday, featuring Patrick Gibson as a young Dexter Morgan. Dexter Original Sin is a prequel to the Showtime series Dexter, which aired from 2006 to 2013. The original series stars Michael C. Hall as Dexter, a vigilante serial killer. Original Sin takes place in Miami in 1991, 15 years before the beginning of Dexter. The show follows young Dexter, played by Gibson, as he transitions from student to avenging serial killer. The photos show Gibson as Dexter, Christian Slater as Dexter's adopted father, Harry Morgan, and Molly Brown as Dexter's young sister, Deborah Morgan. One image appears to show Dexter mid-kill. The official synopsis reads, when his bloodthirsty urges can't be ignored any longer, Dexter must learn to channel his inner darkness. With the guidance of his father, Harry, played by Slater, he adopts a code designed to help him find and kill people who deserve to be eliminated from society without getting on law enforcement's radar. This is a particular challenge for young Dexter as he begins a forensic internship at the Miami Metro Police Department. Other cast members include Sarah Michelle Gellar, Patrick Dempsey, James Martinez, Christina Milian, Alex Shimizu, and Rena Wilson. Dexter Original Sin is produced by Showtime Studios and Counterpart Studios. Dexter's showrunner Clyde Phillips will return as an executive producer. Dan Stevens has landed the lead role in The Terror Season 3, officially titled The Terror Devil in Silver. AMC announced Thursday that Stevens, an actor known for playing Matthew Crawley in the Downton Abbey franchise, will star in the upcoming season, which premieres on AMC and AMC Plus in 2025. Deadline states Stevens will also serve as an executive producer. Devil in Silver is based on a novel by author Victor LaValle, who co-wrote and executive produced the series with Chris Cantwell. Ridley Scott is an executive producer. The season follows Pepper, played by Stevens, a working-class moving man who finds himself wrongfully committed to the New Hyde Psychiatric Hospital. There, Pepper must contend with patients, doctors, and perhaps even the very devil himself. The official synopsis reads, as Pepper navigates a hellscape where nothing is as it seems, he finds that the only path to freedom is to face down the entity which thrives on the suffering within the New Hyde's walls. But doing so may prove that the worst demons of all live inside him. The Terror is a supernatural horror anthology series. Season 1 was based on the Dan Simmons novel of the same name, while Season 2, The Terror Infamy, is inspired by real-life Japanese-American internment camps during World War II. Part 2 of Cobra Kai's final season will premiere 2 weeks earlier than expected, the show's executive producer says. The announcement came Wednesday night as the cast gathered to screen Season 1 Part 1 of Season 6, which premiered on Netflix Thursday. Josh Held, John Hurwitz, and Hayden Schlosenberg wrote, "You hear it first, send it to the internet, November 15th, same day as Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Netflix Fight Night. No undercard, 2 main events, let's do it." Part 3 of the season finale, or the final finale, will air in 2025. The show follows Karate Kid's Danny LaRusso, played by Mav Macchio, and Johnny Lawrence by William Zabka, as they did karate as adults of the Cobra Kai dojo. Part 1 of Season 6 shows the group grappling with how they might compete in the Karate World Championships. In addition to Macchio and Zabka, the final season features Martin Love, Ziolo Matuena, Jacob Bertrand, Mary Mouser, Tyler Buchanan, Peyton List, Johnny DeZilio, Courtney Hendler, Vanessa Rubio, Dallas Dupree-Young, Yui Yukimoto, Alicia Hannah Kim, Griffin Santopietro, and Una O'Brien. Hurwitz and Schlossberg previously said that Season 6 will be Cobra Kai's last. Season 6, Part 1, is now streaming on Netflix alongside the 5 sentences. TNT announced a marathon of Charm episodes as a tribute to the late Shannen Doherty on Thursday. The marathon runs Thursday through Sunday. Doherty died Sunday at the age of 53 after battling breast cancer since 2015. Charm was Doherty's starring TV series after Beverly Hills 90210. She appeared on Charm from 1998 to 2001 with Alyssa Milano and Holly Marie Combs. After Doherty's departure, Rose McGarren joined the trio of other witches. TNT will air 6 episodes each day and 7 on Thursday. The selection highlights Doherty's character, Prue. The marathon also includes 2 episodes Doherty directed, The Good, the Bad, and the Curse, and All Hell Breaks Loose, which both air Sunday. TNT had syndicated Charm since 2001. The show ended in 2006. Max is giving a glimpse of the new series Dune Prophecy. The streaming service shared a teaser trailer for the show Thursday featuring Emily Watson and Olivia Williams. Dune Prophecy is inspired by the novel Sisterhood of Dune by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Alexander. The sequel is a prequel set 10,000 years before the events of Frank Herbert's novel Dune and explores the origin of the Bene Gesserit, a powerful sisterhood whose members undergo intense physical and mental training to obtain superhuman abilities. Watson and Williams play Valia and Tula, 2 Harkonnen sisters who combat forces to threaten the future of humankind and establish the fabled sect that would become known as the Bene Gesserit. An official synopsis reads, the teaser titled Control shows sisterhoods strive for power and control alongside other factions. The cast also includes Travis Fimmel, Jody May, Mark Strong, Sophie, Sophie Brosianina, John Huston, Chloe Lee, Jay Anuka, Phalianan Cunningham, Edward Davis, Alfie Hines, Chris Mason, Shamon Brune Franklin, Jahi Tabu, Shatra Chandran, Jessica Barden, Emma Canning, and Yirin Ha. Max shared a first teaser titled Influence in 2019. And finally, Paramount Plus announced additional voice cast for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on Thursday. The show premieres August 9th. Rose Byrne, Natasha Demetrio, and Post Malone will reprise their roles for the movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. They play mutant animals Leatherhead, Wingnut, and Ray Fillet, respectively. Joining the cast are Jillian Bell, Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Timothy Olyphant, and Danny Trejo as new characters. Mintz-Plasse is best known for McLovin from Superbad, plays Pigeon Pete, a mutant bird. Olyphant, Bell, and Trejo play the East River Three, villainous mutant fish, eel, and seahorse, respectively. Mikhail Abbey, Shimon Brown Jr., Nicholas Cantu, Brady Knoll reprise their roles as the 14 Turtles. Ayo Adibri returns as April O'Neil, a new voice for Splinter. The Rat Sensei, voiced by Jackie Chan in the movie, has not yet been announced. Pete Davidson and Alana Obach were previously announced as guest stars. All 12 episodes of Tales premieres August 9th. And as your entertainment report for Thursday, July 18th, 2024, I'm your host, Mr. Downtown Ray Melo. I'll be back tomorrow to deliver some major stories and trends going on in the world of entertainment and beyond. You can follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Facebook.com/Entertainment Report with Ray Melo. That's RAYMELO. On Twitter at The Enter Report, or on Instagram at The Entertainment Report. You can listen to this episode or any previous episodes of The Entertainment Report anytime you want on iHeartRadio. Just go to iHeart.com or your iHeart phone app, search for The Entertainment Report, and it'll take you to the page. Good night, and God bless you all.